right, guys, so we kicked off a couple weeks ago with our series, To Hell with the Hustle. Does anyone remember what this series is all about? Yeah, very good. Who wants to do our candy tonight? All right, I saw Maddie's hand first, so all right. Yeah, so it's all about time, right? So this is kind of a summary of our series so far, what we're going to be covering just a little bit. We're actually going to cover more than this, but this is kind of a start of what we're covering in the next little bit. I think we agreed when we did our Connect group on this series at the kickoff, I think we agreed that our lives are too busy. Amen, right? Our culture is too busy, right? And all of that, right? It's not the best thing for us, right? So how many hours are there in a day? Very good, not enough. 24, right? So how we spend or how we invest, how we use that time is what determines our lives, right? It's what determines who we become, where we go, what we do, what we will accomplish for God's kingdom, right? So how you spend that time really matters. So this series really matters about how we spend our time. Because the reality is we're all becoming someone, right? Like right now you are becoming someone. Yes, we know you're already someone, but you're becoming someone all the time. Does that make sense? We're always becoming someone. So who you're around, how you spend your time, the routines and rhythms that make up your life, okay? Everything that you put in to your heart, to your mind, into your body, right? All of that contributes to who you're becoming. Does that make sense? Would you all kind of agree? That makes sense? Okay? So I hope, and I'm assuming if you're here tonight, I'm assuming that the person that you want to become like is Jesus. Right? That sounds like the churchy cliche answer, like, oh, of course I need to say that. But I hope that that's really the goal of your life. Because honestly, if we say I'm a follower of Jesus, then our goal really should be to become more like him and to have the life that he had, right? So just think about it. Who are you becoming? Think about your current schedule. Think about your current life. Think about your current relationships, your current activities, your current spiritual discipline life, right? Spiritual disciplines are prayer, worship, fasting, solitude, fellowship with other believers, all of those kinds of things, Bible reading and study, right? Devotion time. All of that are spiritual disciplines, right? Think about that, right? And think about this. What will be the outcome of your life in 5 years or 10 years if you keep the current schedule you're at? If you keep what you're doing, who you're doing with all of this kind of stuff, what was the answer here? Be a lot, right? Right? It's a good question to think about. Like, hey, is my pace of life, right? Does my schedule allow me to become the person that I want to become? The person that I need to become, the person that God wants me to become, right? It's a good question. Like if I keep going with the same schedule I have now and I keep working the same hours and I spend the same amount of time with friends and the same amount of time on social media and the same amount of time on TV and the same amount of time with my devotions and other spiritual disciplines, my same amount of time in church, am I going to become who God wants me to become? It's a good question. Okay, if the answer is no, then that's right there something that it's like, hey, maybe I need to look at the routines and rhythms of my life. Maybe I need to look at what I'm doing and how I'm spending my time, right? Because the reality is, and I think you guys would agree, that when we fill every second of our lives with noise, so to speak, when we fill every second with activity, right? I've always got to be doing something. I've always got to be watching something. I've always got to be scrolling, okay? I've always got to be viewing something. I've always got to be with someone, talking to someone, right? Snapchatting someone or texting someone, okay? When we live our lives all the time like that, which is what our culture has really become, I think we would agree, right? Everybody is glued to their phone, right? And myself included. So I'm like, hey, I'm learning this with you guys. Like, this series is challenging me too, and I'm making some changes too, right? But we end up living our lives without an awareness of God's presence. Have y'all noticed that? Because we're so distracted on the other stuff. We're so busy, right? Y'all are not supposed to just be sharing the candy amongst you four. So You gave Emily some too. That was nice of you. The candy. So give everyone a piece of candy since y'all are just sitting there eating all the candy. Make sure everybody gets a piece of candy. And then save the candy for the questions. Because that's not fair for just the three of you to get candy and then not anyone else. Yes, you can all have a couple pieces of candy. And then you're having cravings for me. So, okay, share the love a little bit with other people too. Okay, so I love this quote, and I hope I put it in here. Yeah, this is a quote from John Ortberg. He's a pastor and he's an author in California, and he says this: "For many of us, the great danger is not that we will renounce our faith." What does it mean to renounce your faith? Not quite. It's actually the opposite. Nope. If you renounce something, what does that mean? Nope, you're not announcing it. Yeah. Yeah, David and Allie got it. If you renounce something, you're actually turning away from it, right? So you're actually giving up your faith. So that's what he says. He's like, the danger is not that we'll give up our faith. It's not that we'll renounce, which means deny Christ, deny Jesus, and turn away from him. He said the danger is that we will become so distracted and rushed and preoccupied that we will settle for a mediocre version of our faith. Did y'all catch that? A mediocre version. Mediocre is average. Just there, just blah version of our faith. Instead of a fresh, right? This ties into our fresh series because we talked about at the beginning of the series. You might be too busy to be fresh. You might have a pace of life that does not allow God to do what he wants to do in you this year, which is to refresh you, okay? To give you a fresh experience with him. And you might be too busy to receive that, okay? So we might be so distracted that we settle for just about our faith. Just lukewarm, I think the Bible calls it, right? If we're lukewarm, right? And that, I think, would be mediocre, a mediocre version of faith. I don't want us to do that. I don't think that's what you guys want either, because you're here and you're involved and you love Jesus, and I know that. And so I don't think that you guys want just a mediocre version, and I definitely don't think that you just want to renounce your faith altogether, okay? I really don't believe that about you. So what I hope that we do is that we learn how to live fruitful but unhurried lives like what Jesus lived, right? Now, Jesus was not lazy. This series is not advocating you to quit school, never go to college, and just be lazy, okay? I know you were hoping for that take. It's not going to be here. It's not advocating for laziness. The Bible condemns laziness in multiple places, right? Jesus was not lazy. He was fruitful with his life, but he was not overworked. He was not living at a pace of life that was draining, that was not sustaining him, right? So that's the end goal of this series, is that we will be able to examine our life and live at a pace of life that works, that models what Jesus modeled for us, okay? So have y'all noticed that in our culture, and it might be changing a little bit now, but I doubt it, it's kind of a status symbol to be busy. So I don't know if that's as much true now as it was, but especially for me, it was like very much in our culture, it was like a status symbol to be busy, because why? It meant that you were needed. It meant that you were important, or at least on your way to being important. It meant you were doing a lot of things. You're involved in a lot of things. You're smart. You're successful, right? Busyness was kind of the mark of some of these things. So it makes you feel good about yourself, feel good about your life. It makes you impressive to other people. You're like, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Oh, I'm just so busy, right? But a continual lifestyle of busy, a continual lifestyle of hurried, is not the kind of life that we see Jesus live in the Bible, is it? Like, there's nowhere in the Bible that says Jesus rushed anywhere. He ran anywhere. He frantically snapped at people because he's like, I got too much to do, right? We never see that, right? It's like, right? Like the stressed out, like snapping at people because he's like overworked and he's tired and he's just drained and exhausted because of his schedule. Like, we don't see that. And honestly, it's not anything like what we see him described for his followers either. In Matthew 11, 28 through 30. Can anyone pull it up and read it? I don't have it on the slide like I thought I did. Does anyone have it? 11, 28 through 30. Thank you so much. Since I did not put it on the slide. Is this my water? No, ma'am, that's mine. I had water. Okay, thank you. 28 through 30. So this is the kind of lifestyle that Jesus invites his followers to have. Okay, quick show of hands. If you consider yourself a follower of Jesus, raise your hand. Okay, we're just checking. Are we doing altar call right here? Okay, you consider yourself a follower of Jesus. So here's what I want you to see. As Jocelyn reads this verse, I want you to see that this is how Jesus invites you to live. This is a big deal. This is what he says is, hey, this is the invitation that's on the table for you. Okay, so go ahead, Jocelyn. All right. Now, is Jesus talking about an egg yolk? He says, my yoke is easy and my burden is light. What's he talking about? Okay. Yes. Okay, yes. Salvation and following him. Okay. What is a yoke? Very good. Yes. Yeah, we actually talked about this in Sunday school not too long ago, right? With not being unequally yoked. Okay. But here it is. A yoke is that wooden thing that's across the two oxen so that they can pull and work together. That's what that is, okay? Which is funny to me because a yoke is a work instrument. And yet, when I think of being tired and overwhelmed and weary and heavy laden, I don't think of a work instrument, right? I think of a vacation and a mattress, right? A beach maybe, right? And yet, let's read it again. This time I'm going to read it to you in the Message, okay? Did you really? Can you read? Do you have it still pulled up? Do you want to just read it in the Message now if you have it? Okay, I have it. All right, it says this. Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me. Get away with me and you'll recover your life. I love that. You'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. A real rest. And then he says, walk with me and work with me. There's the yoke. When you're yoked to someone, you're walking together, you're going the same direction, you're going at the same pace and speed. Because if you've got that thing around you, you can't outrun the other one, right? Because you're going to drag them with you, right? It's not going to work. So you're going at the same speed together, you're working together, you're walking together, right? And so this fits so well. He says, hey, come and walk with me. Come and work with me. This is Matthew 11, 28 through 30 in the Message, right? And then I love this. I love this paraphrase. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. Rhythms of grace. I love that. This is an invitation for the tired, the burned out, the weary, the overwhelmed, and the stressed. Now, if you're anything like me, you might be thinking, I am a follower of Jesus, right? All of you acknowledged I'm a follower of Jesus, right? But at the same time, how many of y'all would say that some of those words fit you? Stressed out, overwhelmed, overworked, too busy, right? Heavy laden, maybe weary, burdened, right? We're all kind of there, okay? And so I had to think to myself, what am I missing, right? If this is the invitation that Jesus has invited us into, what am I missing in my life that I would consider myself often the opposite? And this is what I think. Oh, sorry, this was just the rest of the verse in the Message. Sorry, you need this one. What I think is we're missing that to have the lives of Jesus, we need to embrace the lifestyle of Jesus. If we want to have the life of Jesus, then we need to embrace the lifestyle of Jesus. And if we're honest, a lot of our lives does not look like his. We've added in a lot of stuff, right? A lot of busyness. And it's part of our culture. Like, we're just trying to keep up. Like, I get that. Like, I understand you have to have a job, right? I understand that. Like, you have to do homework right now. I understand that, and my heart goes out to you, right? Like, I understand that there's a lot of things pulling at your time. You have to fill out college essays, and you have to look for scholarships, and you got to work, and you got to fix stuff, and you got a family, and you got friends, and I understand that. So, the question then is, how do we adjust our lifestyle in modern world right now to reflect what Jesus did, to reflect how he lived? And the reality is that some of our stuff that we're committed to might have to go, or the quantity of time that we're committed to it might have to go. Like, how much time do we spend just scrolling? How much time do we spend just watching videos on loop, right? I'm shouting myself out. How much time do we spend doing things that don't really matter at the end of the day? I'm not saying we can't do that some. I'm just talking about the amount of time. Let's think about how we're spending and investing and using our time, right? So I admire runners. I went through a season where I was a runner, and it was good once I got into it. First off, I thought I was going to die. Obviously, this was not recently. This was a while ago. And I was doing the running thing, and I had gotten to the point where I was running like 2 or 3 miles a day, which was really good for me. Some of you probably way beyond that, and that's awesome. But at the time, I had built up, and I was really happy with being able to hit 3 miles and just go. And now I'm like, I'd be like half mile and be like, okay, we're good. I admire runners, right? I admire, I look at them and I'm like, man, I would love to be that person that's like, I'm just going to run 5 miles a day. I'm going to run 3 miles a day. I'm like, man, right? I'd love to just be one of those people that's like does marathons. Like, those people are impressive to me. Like, you're awesome. Like, good for you, right? Right? I'd love to be the people that are like, I'm running a 6-minute mile, right? Good, good for y'all. Yes, a few steps, and I'm like, okay, we good. We're gonna call it a day right now, right? I'd have to work up to it, right? But I mean, they're fit all the time. They got a nice, healthy glow. They got that runner's high going on. Like, they eat healthy so that they can run. I'm like, you're killing it at life, right? I like that. But the reality is, if I'm being honest, when I think about, I like their life, but when I think about their lifestyle, I mean, they're out running when I'm watching TV, right? They're eating vegetables when I'm eating brownies, right? They're drinking water when I used to be drinking caffeine. Now I drink a lot of chocolate milk. That's my new thing. I'm buying it by like the half gallon, and it's like gone. I don't know. I like it. That's my new thing, so I can't have coffee, as much coffee, right? And so I'm like, I like their life. I admire some things about their life, but the reality is, I'm not willing to embrace their lifestyle. I'm not willing to give up some of the stuff that I want, right? To take on doing the running and eating the vegetables and drinking all the water and working out. Yes, exactly, Emily, right? And here's what I think. I think that a lot of us feel that way about Jesus. I mean, if we're being honest, it's like we want the life of Jesus, but we don't necessarily want the lifestyle of Jesus, right? So in these verses, we see that Jesus offers us a whole new way to bear the weight of humanity, right? Because life is not easy. We're not promised an easy life, right? So Jesus isn't saying, I'm giving you an easy life if you follow me. He's saying, I'm giving you a new way to handle life. I'm giving you a new way to hold and carry life, the weight of it, right? And it's back to that picture with the oxen, and it's at his side, at his pace, with him. That's the invitation, right? With Jesus doing all the heavy lifting, right? And that scenario with the 2 oxen hooked together, when it's with Jesus, he does the pulling and he does the lifting, and we're keeping pace with him, okay? And this kind of lifestyle comes not from just being able to quote those verses in Matthew, because we can probably quote those verses, like, come to me, all you who are weary, all you who are heavy laden, right? Take my yoke upon you, for I'm gentle, right? I'll give you rest for your souls, right? That's a pretty good paraphrase of it, okay? We can pretty much quote that. But the reality is, we don't get that from quoting the verses or even reading the verses tonight or knowing those verses. We get that from following the lifestyle of Jesus, from the rhythms of life that he lived. So what are some things that Jesus did? What are some things in the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? What are some things that we see Jesus doing? Because that's where he's setting up a model and he's saying, this is how to follow me, right? That's always his invitation. Come and follow me, right? A way that that could be translated is come and be my apprentice. I like that. Come and be my apprentice. An apprentice is someone that you learn under and you follow their way of life, right? So it's not just come and follow me, but it's really like come and apprentice under me. Come and be my apprentice, right? Come and learn with me and under me and do what I do, okay? So we already decided we never see him frantically rushing about, right? In the Bible. Do we ever see Jesus doing that? No, right? What do we see Jesus doing? What do you guys think? There's something about water. Okay, he turned water into wine. Okay. He walked on water. Yeah, he did a lot of stuff with water. Yeah, casting out demons. Yeah, he represented God. She's like, I'm going to get this answer. I see it. Yes, he met someone at the water well. Okay, what do you think, David? Ooh. He brings Lazarus back. Yes. I know. Lazarus was enjoying his heaven reality. So, what about this? We see Jesus getting up early to go pray. We see him setting aside time, whether it's morning or not. We see him purposely multiple times throughout Scripture. We see him setting aside time to go and pray. We see him withdrawing from crowds to recharge and be alone. I personally think Jesus was an introvert. I don't know, but I think so. What do you think? Oh, good. And yeah, next week's our chosen movie night, so maybe we'll see some pieces of this. We see him hanging out with friends and having long conversations and meals with friends and good conversations, right? We see him practicing Sabbath. What is Sabbath? Shabbat. We had a whole chosen episode on Shabbat, Sabbath. What is Sabbath? It is not the day of Pentecost. Yes, Ali is correct, right? A day of rest, right? A day that's about worship, it's about rest, and it's about relationship. And we're actually going to talk more about Sabbath, right? It's not a specific day of the week necessarily, but we're going to talk more about Sabbath in this series. But we see Jesus practicing Sabbath, okay? Right? And then Jesus says, hey, follow me. Like, this is what I'm doing. Come and follow me. Come and adopt my lifestyle. Right? Jesus always had time. This is something that struck out to me when I first started in ministry that was interesting to me when I was reading the Gospels. Jesus got interrupted a lot. Like, he really did. Like, he'd be on his way to go minister to someone else or heal someone else or go to this place, and on the way, someone's tugging at him. On the way, hey, stop and heal me. Hey, come and deliver my child, right? All the time. And I'm like, Jesus is always getting interrupted. But I'm like, he's never, like, upset with that, because when I have a task, I do not like to be interrupted. And so this really stuck out to me when I started seeing this in Scripture, because I'm like, I'm task-oriented, and I struggle with being people-oriented over task-oriented, because if I got something to do, like, I just want to do it. I'm like, don't talk to me. Like, I got to do this, right? But Jesus was people-oriented, so I'm working on it. God is going to help me, right? Getting tasks done is good, but Jesus was people-oriented, and so all the time he's getting interrupted. And I realized that one of the reasons, this is important, I know we're getting close. One of the reasons that Jesus was okay with always being interrupted and taking the time to minister to all those people, whether it was healing them, delivering them, encouraging them, right? Casting out demons, like all this kind of stuff, is because he didn't overbook his time so much. And I was like, the reason interruptions bother me is because I'm too busy. So now I feel like you're stealing time I didn't have, right? And so now I'm upset and I'm frustrated. I'm not loving somebody else well. I'm not doing maybe the ministry God wanted me to do in that moment, because I didn't leave any margin in my schedule. Margin is room, okay? Margin is some extra room. And because I overbooked everything, so I'm like, Jesus was okay with interruptions and ministered to a lot of people in interrupted moments because he wasn't so overbooked. he lived with some margin in his life that he's like, yeah, I can stop and pray for you, right? So today, I kind of got like a real life example of that. So many of y'all know I'm moving. We got movers coming on Saturday and everything. So we had to move to a bigger place. Now you guys know why we're moving to a bigger place. Yes, now you know why. No, our lease is up and they did raise our rent, but we were prompted to move even more so because we need another room. Yes. Yes, that was really funny. Yeah, because for a while, like right after I got married, they were like, oh, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? Um, the gender reveal? Yes. Yeah, you guys can plan the gender reveal. You can't plan the pregnancy. That's already been planned. Um, the pregnancy, so you can't plan that. That was already planned. But you can plan the gender reveal. I actually want to do the gender reveal as part of our Speed the Light fundraiser too. We'll let people put in money to vote for boy or girl throughout the church. I think we'll make some money off that. I think it's going to be a girl. I want a boy, but I think it's going to be. That's how I feel. Yes. Oh, see, I'm thinking of Speed the Light. You're thinking of the child. Y'all are thinking of my child, and I'm just like, and you know what I'm thinking of? I'm like, how can we make some money for Speed the Light out of this? How can we support missions out of this pregnancy? Donating the ultrasound photos. Speed the Light. I'm like, hey, maybe the child will be a missionary, and we're sowing into the child's future. Who knows? That's how we can sell it. That's how we can do it. Okay, with some gender reveal stuff. Okay, sounds good. Don't do anything with explosions, because remember that one guy died. Okay. Yes. Yeah, that's true. You will. You can come back. Okay. Okay. You can carpool. Yes. Yes. Sounds good. Barge into the hospital. Oh Lord. All right. So, yeah, we'll do something fun for the gender. We will. All right. So, we're really done. I just want to close with this question. Here's what I want y'all to think about. Okay. We've got the invitation that's on the table, right? Come to me. Walk with me. Let's live at my pace. Let me shoulder the load, right? And so tonight, what I want you to think about, because obviously we don't live in the first century. We're not a rabbi in the first century. Okay, that was Jesus. We're not. That's not us. Okay, is to think about with my life right now, my schedule right now. If Jesus had my schedule, it's a good question. What would change? Right? If Jesus was living my life, what in my schedule would be adjusted? How I spend my time? How would that be adjusted? Right? Maybe I don't know, right? And do not, whatever you do not jump to, I would be doing more ministry and then sign up for more ministry, okay? Don't go there. Stop. I remember, what do we read about Jesus? We see him pulling away and resting. We see him hanging out with some friends. We see him spending time alone, right? We see him praying. We see him enjoying relationships, right? We see him doing all of these things. So let's not take away the humanity of Jesus and just go, he just doing ministry all the time, right? And then died on the cross. No. We see him investing in time with friends, right? Building relationships, investing in people, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, family, your friendships, godly community, mentors, pastors, like these are important relationships to invest into and to spend time with, right? But there's probably some stuff on your schedule that it's like, man, maybe Jesus wouldn't spend 5 hours on his phone, right? That's at me, because I'm like 3 to 5, depending on the week, right? Yours is 5 to 7, right? Gotta love Apple with that Sunday, like, oh, okay, this is how I did this week. But I just want us to think about, and what I'm thinking about is like, okay, what can I adjust? What can I adjust to have the lifestyle, to have some of the rhythms of Jesus, okay? And this is just still kind of the intro of our series and everything that we're doing. So we're going to get more into some practicalities of that, okay? In the next, not next week because of The Chosen, and then the week after that, we'll have Teen Challenge here. But the week after that, We will get back into this. Y'all have to have good memories, right? But we're going to talk about 10 signs that your life is too busy, right? And that you need to slow down, that there's some things that need to go. What? You cry. Okay. That's probably too much. Wow. Yeah. Some of you to naps. Wow. Are you depressed? Are you people sleep a lot. I mean, it's just a good question. Just a good question. Is that like, cuz that's a sign. That's a sign of depression. I mean, if you're sleeping that much.